Sent me home with friggin' faulty test equipment. You jackass. Okay, we're putting together our saw arbor or power head or mechanism or whatever you want to call it. Got the new shaft. Of course, this one's got a good keyway in it. Got some brand new sprocket. This one was running kind of off center. It's kind of wore, so the chain would probably run right back into that same spot. Since we're all new, we got to start over with a new sprocket. Made these spacers on the lathe to replace these wore out ones. They go inside the sprocket, I guess, to keep the chain guided on there. And then we got to do length of cut deal here. Spring with just a piece of rod on there. Bump the wood up against it, and spring will spring back to the same spot every time. This bar might be a little bit heavy. Might wobble a little bit. We'll have to try it. See how it works. Tip pan's ready to go back together. Exactly how that set screws wore them grooves. Dumbass. We got all our new electrical club controls in the cab here. We got lights. 2-speed heater. You can hear it. High speed. Badge air. And then of course these ones will run the live deck and other things there. Got our work lights working. We gotta adjust them. This one is just shooting off into the grass here. One should be aiming down the log trough at the grapple. One should be on the log deck. One should be here. And then one should be pointing out towards the discharge conveyor. Got to fix up our window yet. Didn't do anything with that. We'll check back at the end of the day. Got to do something with that ground cable. Okay, got the new repaired saw bar in there. Don't have a chain on there yet. We're still testing. We don't want to be playing around with a chain. We'll end up cutting ourselves right in half by accident. That won't be a magic trick. Clean the windows. What a huge difference this thing makes. Of course, that one cleaning don't do that one much good. They almost look like they're broken. The view from the inside. This thing had moss growing on the inside, outside of it. Still cracked, but 100 times better. We repacked the split, or the wedge where it raised lower cylinder. Made up a new length thing. Got to have a special heavy duty spring up there so it doesn't wobble too much. Got a lighter piece of material I bought today. We might try in there. That might be just a little bit too much wobble. If it's lighter, it won't wobble as much. Antenna spring. I got military clearance to get those. Still got an issue with our tip pan. Tip pan tips that don't return. And I followed this line, which would be the one that returns it. And it looks like it's return oil. So I don't know if they just kind of return oil pressurizes that and keeps that basically in the home position until you run it. I don't know. I thought the set screws machined this earlier, so I'm not really sure what I'm thinking there. Got the new fitting put in there. Okay, here's the issue with the splitter valve leak. That's pipe. Inch and a quarter, I believe. Should be this 20 O-ring Boss, which is a straight thread, uses the O-ring to seal. This uses the pipe taper to seal. It's not as good. And I can see how people could get them mixed up. They look identical, they're the same thread. What the shit, people. Ended up putting in a new valve here and don't have that quite done. I'm going to finish that up in a minute or two. The other valve spool stuck. We'll show you that in a second. Okay. Here's solenoid valve for the live deck lift. There's a little spool for it. Basically, the spool, get it in there where it belongs. It goes in there kind of hard. Of course, it doesn't look bad at all. Or do you see any real problems in there? Once you get it in there, though, it doesn't move too smooth. Moves okay one way, but don't want to come back. There, still kind of takes a lot of force to go that way. So we didn't even try putting it back together. We just went and put another one on there, and that solved the problem with the live deck lifting. And it held the problem of the live deck holding up all the way. It acted like the cylinder was leaking, but it was actually leaking through the valve, which we knew it was. We put a pressure gauge on there, and we had pressure on the valve, but it wasn't activated. So that's that. So that cured that problem of the log conveyor trying to raise up when you're just running along. Still got to do the sawdust door. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll work on that. Okay, we got the sawdust thing back blocked off. With access to clean it out when you do plug it, or if you do plug it. We'll have to keep the door closed. Be nice to have some sort of oiler. $250 to buy an oiler. Get off my road, Amish guy. Okay. What we got here is an old pump. It's a hydraulic pump off a school bus with a wheelchair lift. We scrapped out the power units, and this was a manual override thing in case the power unit didn't work. You get the wheelchair lift down and the wheelchair people out of the bus safely. So what we're going to do here is we check this out. This looks like it's going to be the whole setup. It's got the check valves in it to make it work. Suck it in, push it out, suck it in, push it out. I think we got enough fittings here. We'll just drill out them and tap them for something here. We got elbows and 90s. We got a bunch of hydraulic fittings over there. This is just pump oil. We could probably just use the barbs and put some rubber hose between them and make this for next to nothing. A lot of spending freeze. I can't spend any more house money, so I guess I gotta, if I want to do shit, I gotta make the parts myself now. So gotta get our tip pan thing straightened out. Look at them windows, man. Chew. Alright, we've got all our carriage rolls adjusted. Got a new flow control up there where that one was leaking. Got a cloth wrap on here. I think we talked about this yesterday. Got my leaks fixed up. Made a new strap here for the cylinder to hold the cylinder in place, to support it. And some new rubber bumpers to slam the carriage back into. Them are nice. You can slam into that as hard as you want. It's just nice. Doesn't really shock anything like it used to. Okay. Our tip pan does get its return pressure, or the stay-at-home pressure, or whatever, from this block here. Same place the saw bar retracts from gets its pressure. I think maybe I'm going to flip-flop these two things. These are relief valves of some sort. Because the hoses for the other functions on the other side of the block are up and higher in the valve. And then the hoses that return the saw bar and the tip pan are hooked down low, kind of like where these things are positioned low in the block. But I had a hell of a time figuring out what was going on. I got one of my partners here. I'm not going to name any names, but his name is friggin' Jeremy. Sent me home with this. I asked him, I needed to borrow a gauge with a diagnostic coupler. So he sent me home with this gauge with a diagnostic coupler and this cool extension hose, so I can hook it to my valve and I can check it as I'm running the machine. What a dude. But the dude sends me home with a gauge not working. So I screwed around for an hour trying to figure out why I got no pressure nowhere. And then I'm seeing my hose moving. Oh, I got pressure. It's just my gauge must be screwed up. And lo and behold, yeah, he sent me home with a non-working gauge. He sent me home with friggin' faulty test equipment. You jackass. We've been playing with our valve, and we believe this relief is screwed up. We'll show you some pictures of what that looks like when we took it apart. This one I think sends the saw back to return, and this one should be sending the tip pan back to return. So it's going to flip-flop them, see if my problem changed. But when I pull this one apart, this one comes out as like a low relief cartridge with a stem that sticks down in the valve. This one does not. And I cannot get the part out of there. I didn't want to force it because I'm not 100% sure what I'm really doing, like always. That looks like a big, expensive part for me to go wrecking. I thought I could screw this in here. Captain Hook friggin' part. And maybe just coax it out of there, but I can't get it out. There's a little plug on the other side that maybe you can push it out, but I don't want to wreck it.